Thank you very much, Maria. I see you're happy about new videos. I am too. Mary, I see you're here too, and welcome, welcome. I'm excited to show you what's done well and what hasn't. There are some things in the garden that aren't doing so great. There are some things that are doing wonderfully, so I'll show you all that. And hello, Sandy. Good to see you. Glad you could join us. We're going to get started in just a second. Right now, I'm just enjoying the scent of these beautiful Plumeria blossoms here. They're absolutely stunning, and the smell is wonderful, so I thought I'd yap a little bit over here so I can enjoy that. But welcome, welcome everybody. And if you're here from my classes, don't forget to say hi in the chat so I can give you a little shout out, say hi, and don't forget to do this, click that thumbs up if you haven't yet. Now we're going to take a look around the garden and see what's been happening here. I have quite a few things to show you. Of course, I already showed off the lovely Plumerias, which actually looked a lot better just a couple of weeks ago. You can see that a lot of the blooms have already started to die back, unfortunately. That underneath the Plumeria, let me flip this around here, you can see the sweet potatoes are doing great. I wasn't sure how these were going to do down here. This is kind of a shady spot for them, but considering the fact that I planted these sweet potatoes in here pretty late, they're actually doing quite well. In fact, this one has decided to start crawling outside of the little bed here, which is perfect. We don't mind that one bit. Now, some of you might remember that I did a video on planting tomatoes in pots specifically, and actually I wanted to show off that tomato. Unfortunately, the tomato has not had the best care, but it's done surprisingly well for the little pot that it was planted in. We actually just got a really nice harvest of about 15 or 20 little tomatoes off of this. Honestly, this little pot was probably a little bit too small for a tomato of this size, and unfortunately it has been hit with drought multiple times because we've forgotten to water it a couple of times, but it's actually doing quite well. In fact, we'll take a look and see how the other tomatoes are doing in just a moment here. Those have been hit or miss. Unfortunately, as you know, some of the tomatoes had a really rough start. Some of them actually died back almost immediately after we planted them. Those ones never really made a full recovery. The ones on the far end that started off doing great actually gave us, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tomatoes. They started to have some issues during the really bad heat wave that we had, and so those are struggling a little bit too. I'll show you those in just a minute. Now, some of you in my classes got to experience some of our Jaboticaba fruit, which unfortunately we didn't get it all. You can see that what's left in the tree has not survived the heat. The fruit is actually basically turning into alcohol on the tree. It's completely inedible now. Harvested quite a bit of it, and actually I brought it into my classes during our potlucks last week, and a lot of you got to try it out. A lot of people said that it tasted a lot like a combination of a grape and what's the fruit that I'm trying to think of with the white flesh? I can't think of it. If you have tasted a Jaboticaba, tell me in the chat what you think it tastes like. I think they're pretty good personally. All right, now let's take a look and see what else is going on in the garden. Now I've got a great example here to show you what happens with fruiting plants like our peppers here when you don't harvest versus when you do harvest. Now, this jalapeno has had the exact same treatment as this lunch pepper that we have here, which is kind of like one of those little tiny bell peppers. This jalapeno, as you can see, we have not been harvesting off of it. We did harvest some. We actually had quite a few jalapenos on here, but as you can see, a lot of these jalapenos are actually ripening now. They're turning red, which typically you don't want. You want to pick these when they're green. But because we are not picking the fruit, the plant is starting to die back. Actually, you can see it's really really struggling right now. No, you didn't see that. Compare that to this little lunch pepper, which we have been harvesting fairly aggressively. Now, this just set out another set of flowers here. You can see that it's not doing the best. I honestly think that this little bed might be a little bit too small. Actually, the soil level doesn't go all the way down here. It probably would be happier if this was a little bit deeper. But considering this pepper hasn't done too bad, and actually these little mini lunch peppers have been really, really delicious. This is probably one of my new favorite snacking peppers here. Everything else is doing great. You can see our lemon tree is going crazy here. The white sage that some of you might remember, I did a video on how to plant California native plants. This was that white sage. Now, this is a special variety of white sage. This is the Salvia apiana compacta. So this is the compact white sage. It's a really small variety. By the way, this is the exact angle that I filmed that video at. It just looks very different without the avocado tree in the background. But this was the angle, and this is the plant. Now, if this were a full-sized white sage, this probably would be at least double in height from where it is right now. I'm hoping that this stays really small. It's not supposed to get any taller than about 3 feet tall, but we'll see. This is actually my first time growing a compact white sage, and I'm not sure what to expect with that. Now, the herb spiral is doing pretty good. I actually redid this little bottom section in here. The water was running off a little bit faster than I wanted, so I raised the soil up. I actually took all the plants out. You can see that I've done some chop and drop in here just to cover the soil so it's not completely bare. I'm actually going to wait until things cool down before I plant anything in this last section. But you can see that the herbs are still doing great. I'm still surprised, you know, this sage has been great, and it's a great tasting sage, but it was supposed to get a lot taller. I'm really surprised it's been so short and squat, but it's been healthy, so I'm not going to complain. It's been a good thing. Actually, just took out, you know what, actually, I don't remember. Oh, that's right, it was a nasturtium. We had the nasturtium that was hanging out over the edge here. That died back completely, and so I planted a little marjoram in here, marjoram to go next to our lovely thyme. Everything else is still doing great. You can see our oregano is going crazy in here. We have our borage that was a volunteer, and I'm actually about to cut this out and go throw it in the compost pile. I'll do that in the next couple of days. Of course, we also have our lemon basil, has been doing great. This is the type of basil that is still fine to consume even after it's bolted, and so I haven't even bothered cutting off the flowers here. I've let it bolt and just keep picking and eating these lovely leaves. I don't eat a lot of the lemon basil because it does have a very strong lemon flavor, and so there's not a lot of things that I pair this with, although it's great with pasta. Definitely use the other basils more frequently. Of course, we still have our chives down here, which actually I haven't picked anything off of this for a while. I probably should start picking some and using it. And we all have another new plant down here that's kind of getting smothered by all this craziness over here. This right in here is our brand new French tarragon, which tarragon is actually one of my favorite herbs to cook with. If you haven't used French tarragon, it is absolutely wonderful. Oh, and I guess I forgot to mention the Mexican tarragon, which you can see we still have some of the distinct yellow flowers on here, but the Mexican tarragon is also doing just fine in here. Now, something I don't think you all have seen, I think that I planted this, and I talked about it during the last live stream, but I didn't actually show you, is a little kind of a chop and drop area that I did in here. I planted up some buckwheat and some cowpeas. As you can see, some of the buckwheat has already been chopped down and laid down on the soil, and actually some of it's gone pretty much to nothing. There's a little bit in here that you can still see. I'm trying to decide whether or not I want to harvest the cowpeas and try them. I've actually never eaten these before. I'm either going to harvest and try them, or I might just chop them down and lay them down on the soil. I'm just using this to help amend the soil in here, because as you can see, this is actually a very sandy soil. Well, not just very, it's an incredibly sandy soil that was underneath the avocado tree. And actually, without the constant avocado leaves dropping on here, in the heat especially, it's like the organic matter practically evaporated out of here. I mean, it's really, we need more stuff in here. And actually, I should have put some of our mulch over here on this side. I just never got around to doing it. The mulch has made a world of difference in here. In fact, I can dig down and it's wet in here just about everywhere. In fact, let's come in here now. I want to dig down and show you how wet it is. Oh, little lizard. But I'm not going to be able to get very far. I'm imagining I'm going to run into some of the fungal mycelium in here. And I think there's less on this side, but yeah, we still have the fungal mycelium in here. So this is where I put the wine cap mushroom spawn so that we can get wine cap mushrooms growing in here. And I don't want to disturb this too much. But I do want to show you, in fact, let me pull this over here so it's easier to see. So this is the mycelium of the wine cap mushrooms. And this is really spread everywhere in the mulch that we have in here. Actually, I think that the heaviest area is right around in here. And I don't know why it's so heavy in here, but I noticed the other day when I was poking around in here. Oh yeah, I mean, you can see how wet this is. I mean, this was watered. It's been almost 100 degrees. Last time I watered here was on Saturday, and it's still, it's actually wet to the touch. There's still, everything is damp. And this is the mycelium here for the wine cap mushrooms. In fact, I can just come down and show you. This mycelium is everywhere in here. It is consuming the wood chips. It is breaking the wood chips down into wonderful soil down below. This is going to be incredibly rich. This is going to help amend that sandy soil. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. And of course, it's also going to have an edible mushroom. This is known as the garden king, or the wine cap mushroom. I've been told that they taste like a baked potato. I'm really excited to try them. I've actually never had them before, so I have no idea what it's going to taste like. We'll do it live on live stream, and then you all can watch as I either enjoy the mushroom or die. Huh. Oh, I shouldn't joke about that, should I? No, don't worry. This is an easily identifiable mushroom, and I promise no dying on the live stream. But we'll do that in winter time, actually. Once we start getting some rain, we'll start to see those mushrooms popping up out of the ground. Now, next to that area, I did want to point out, this is something I talked about I don't want to touch because this plant can actually cause psoriasis. It can cause some irritation of the skin. But this is our Bocking 14 comfrey. Now, this is a plant that has a massive taproot that's going to grow deep down into the soil, and it's actually going to help mine out a lot of the minerals that our plants need. Those minerals end up in the leaves, which actually this plant is going to get much taller and bushier. And as it grows up, I'm actually going to chop it down, and I'm just going to lay the leaves underneath our little fruit trees here. And so this is actually going to become food for our little tree trio, which actually I can show you. You can see that the plum is taller than me now. This is probably about 6.5, yeah, about 6.5 feet tall now. Let's see, I got a couple of questions in here, so let me check the chat really quick. So I see Denise says, Dee Dee from Wednesday's Diamond Bar class, see you in class. Okay, very good, see you in class. Sandy, I don't know about that. I think that you're saying that about the mushrooms, but these aren't those kinds of mushrooms. So we're going to keep things PG in the, the YouTube channel. And aloha! Yes, you can see I'm wearing my vacation shirt. It's a little bit too hot for the long sleeve and the apron today, so I said, gonna do my best Dave Lanham impersonation with my Hawaiian shirt. For those of you out there in YouTube land who've never heard of Dave Lanham was a horticulture professor at Mount San Antonio College. He was one of my teachers. He also taught my father. Unfortunately, he passed away a few years ago. But I like to talk about him in my classes. One of these days, I'm going to have to do a tribute video for Dave Lanham because he was such an incredible teacher and mentor. I went to his funeral, as did many of his students. The church had a capacity of, I think, like 300 or 400 people, and they had to turn people away. I mean, I don't even think I got into the church. I was just in the parking lot. It was just like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people who showed up who wanted to talk about how great a teacher he was and how he impacted their lives. But anyway, I'm sorry, I'm getting sentimental over here. We're supposed to be talking about the garden, right? Now, let's see here. So we're taking a look at the trees. So the plum is actually doing the best of all of the trees, put on a lot of new growth. In fact, I'm about to cut this down. Since we are mid-August now, this is time to do our summer pruning. So I'm actually going to come in and I'm going to be trimming this down, and I'm going to be trimming back the branches that are growing into the other two trees here. Let me pinch this back a little bit so you can see. There we go. Let's make that a little wider. Now, the peach, actually, I was very worried about because, as you remember, I chopped it way down, and I thought I killed it. Unfortunately, none of the buds up here came out, but we did have one bud just a couple of inches above the graft, so it is graft, it's not rootstock, has come up and started to create a new trunk here. This is actually doing great. I'm really happy with the direction that this peach is taking, even though it's very small. This is going to grow into a lovely trio in here. Now, our persimmon is a little bit sad. It had this damage early on. Something came in and chewed on the leaves. It hasn't put on a heck of a lot of new growth. In fact, it's pretty much just, I think it's had maybe 5 new leaves since I planted it. But it does have one persimmon, which I know I should have taken off. You know, when you're planting a new tree, you really don't want to leave fruit on it the first year, but my dad wanted me to leave it on here, and I said, you know, you can't say no to mom or dad. So we'll try this one, and we'll chop this up into 5 or 6 pieces, and the whole family will have a little sliver each. We'll give it a year 1 try. Now, the reason why it's best to pick the fruit off of the tree when it's a young tree like this is that the fruit actually takes a lot of energy and it requires a lot of phosphorus to develop, and that same energy and that same phosphorus helps to develop the root system. So one of the reasons why this tree might not be very large could actually be because I left that piece of fruit on there. But it's not the end of the world. It's okay. Now, over here, you can see this whole jungle in here. Most of this is actually another sweet potato. So I planted one sweet potato in here. Let me zoom that out just a little bit. Right down in there. I thought it looked cool. That's why I did it. But this sweet potato has done the best of all of the sweet potatoes that we've planted around the yard. And actually there's you know, the ones in the little bed over there. There's actually a sweet potato right here where my finger is, and another one right up here. I'll show you those two in just a minute. But this sweet potato is just absolutely going crazy. It's crawling around all over the place. Really excited to see what kind of tubers we get out of this one. I think it's going to be real tasty. But you know, we can also eat the greens of the sweet potatoes. Of course, you don't want to eat potato greens, but sweet potato greens are edible. They're actually very nutritious and quite good. I don't know what's going on with these leaves here. They're all tangled up. They're doing some weird stuff. Oh well. Now this right in here is actually the red runner beans. Now I talked about the red runner beans some time ago. We got these couple of plants planted up in here. I think there's actually only 3 or 4 red runners that are still going. But by golly, let me tell you, these are completely covered in aphids. Now I'm going to show you something really cool. Let's see if I can sneak in here, because I just saw this land on here. Now notice, there's all these aphids, and if you can see that little flying insect there, this is exactly what I talk about in my class. That is a little hoverfly. And as you can see, there's just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of aphids on this plant. That hoverfly is actually, it is laying an egg. It has been laying eggs all over these plants. The larvae of the hoverfly are going to come in here, and they're going to eat up all of these aphids. This is exactly what happened on the fruit tree over here. As you might remember, the plum tree was completely covered in aphids, and the hoverfly came in, they laid their eggs on there, and they completely eliminated the aphids on the plant. And as a matter of fact, if I get in really close, you can see some of the skeletons are still there, but really, oh, actually, no, there's a couple of aphids that have come back, I think. No, actually, no, those are all dead. So the aphids actually never came back on here. I'm hoping that the same thing will happen over here on our red runner beans. So again, this is one of the reasons why I don't spray, I don't use pesticides. I want to allow nature to take its course. I'm also using these red runner beans and all of these little black bean aphids that we're getting to try and to get some green lacewings started. So I ordered some green lacewings. They actually come as eggs. They come in this rice hull material, and they have these little cups. Oops, I guess I ripped that one. We'll just take that off. Now these are already gone, so these actually would have hatched a couple of days ago. I just haven't pulled them inside yet. But basically you get these rice hulls with the eggs in them. You have all these little boxes that you pour the eggs into, and you hang it in spots around your garden where you have some kind of food, like the aphids here. Oh, actually, So these leaves in here were completely covered in aphids, and they are stripped clean now. So that tells me that these eggs did hatch, and the larvae have already eaten a bunch of the aphids off of here. Now, of course, I see there's aphids right here, so there's still plenty of aphids for those little green lacewing larvae to eat. I'm gonna have to come out here with my macro camera and see if I can find some of those larvae and record them so I can show you all. No, maybe you don't want to see that. I don't know, maybe that's kind of gross. Who wants to see green lacewing larvae eating aphids? Give me a little react, a little thumbs up or a smiley face if you want to see that, and I'll make a video for you. I've got a whole bunch of gross footage in the garden. I should make a gross video one of these days. It's nature, right? Now, I don't think I'm going to hang this back up because I'm pretty sure that all of the eggs have already hatched out of here, but I'm going to sprinkle this around just in case. If there's any eggs that are left in there, they'll hatch out and, you know, they'll start crawling around on the plant. Otherwise, the rice hulls are just going to fall onto the ground, and it's going to be mulch. It's going to help mulch the garden. Now, oops, dropping stuff. Let's put that there. There we go. Okay. Now, these red runner beans, I don't know if I'm going to try these just because, again, they're completely covered in aphids. I guess I can clean them off. I've actually never had these before, but they're also related to cowpeas. I just wanted to try them just for the heck of it. They're really good nitrogen fixing plants. And I figured, you know, we'll get some nitrogen into the soil. Once the plants are done, we'll chop them down, and again, we'll throw them over into the compost pile. This was just kind of an experiment in here. Now, they were supposed to be helping out our little plant in here, our little chayote plant. But this poor chayote plant that we got started has actually died back a couple of times. You can see that it had this lovely stem that came out and was coming up, but it got hit by that first heat wave and really lost almost all of its leaves, just a couple of sad leaves up here. It's putting out another push down here. So we have some really nice, healthy looking stuff getting pushed out of the ground. Fortunately with chayote, its first year, and especially with how late I planted it, it's actually focusing and putting its energy into developing deep roots. So when we get back around to the growing season for chayote again, this is going to burst out of the ground. In fact, this is going to probably die back anyway during the winter time. Once we get back around to the growing season, this will explode, and it really should cover this entire trellis here. In fact, this trellis probably is not large enough for this chayote plant. Chayote can grow something like 20 feet. Oh, and I see people are saying yes to aphids being decimated. Sandy says yes. Okay, I'll try to record some video of things eating aphids, and I'll post that for you on YouTube. But yeah, these red runner beans are actually they're pretty large vines. You can see how tall this one got. This is a lot taller than me. It's grown up. I think this is about probably about 7.5 feet there. It's doing pretty good here. We also have some volunteer green beans. Now, we haven't gotten a lot of beans off of these. I'm not sure what's been happening. We harvested a couple of beans off of this, and then all of a sudden the flowers started disappearing. So I'm thinking something might have gotten in here and started eating the flowers. We have a whole bunch more flowers that are coming out now. But we did get a couple of beans on this. The beans were actually quite tasty, so I'm hoping we get more. This is kind of a mess in here. You can see we've got some tomato cages around kind of propping this up. This was not plans. These were just green beans that came up out of the grounds. They were volunteers, and so just decided to let them do their thing. Now, looking back over here, we've got our tomato plants and our hugelkultur bed. Now, the North African basil has gotten way bigger than I expected. This is way too big. I'm definitely going to be transplanting this out of the bed. As much as I love this, I think I'm going to actually pull it out of the bed, and I might transplant it onto the grounds down here outside of the bed. As you can see, we still have lots of our sun gold tomatoes. Unfortunately, some of them, like this one here, you can see we've got a little insect that has gone inside and it's actually eating that. We're gonna send that right over to the compost pile there. The real star of the show, though, has actually been the Juliet. This plant has produced so many tomatoes, and by the way, I made probably the best pasta sauce I've ever made out of these Juliet tomatoes. Now, these plants got hit really, really hard by the heat wave. I probably should have upped the water. I was actually still only watering twice per week. I should have started watering 3 times per week. I didn't. And unfortunately, they really, you can see how much of these plants have died back. However, when I saw that they were dying back really hard, I upped the water a bit, and you can see that actually we have a lot of new growth coming out. So these plants are not done yet. We've still got plenty of time in the fall for more tomatoes. Actually, you can see we have some of our black star tomatoes over here are actually growing pretty well in a cluster. We have a couple of purple Cherokees coming out. We still have some over here, got some down here, but this one, I think that these two on the end, they started off struggling, and they've really struggled the entire time. Actually, I've got an overripe tomato down there that needs to get pulled out of there. As you can see, the marigolds, unfortunately, didn't get deadheaded, and they've died back. But the good news is I've got millions of marigold seeds, and in fact, I'm going to pick and bring these into my classes this week. So if anybody wants some marigolds, I'll have seeds for everybody. You can see the basil actually is still going crazy in here, even though it's flowered multiple times. The Italian basil is still doing great. Try not to disturb this bee over here too much. But actually, This basil plant has been great, even though I haven't even been deadheading it. It's still producing lots of delicious basil, been good to eat the whole time. Wait a second, that's not basil, that's poison. No, I'm just kidding. No, actually, this basil has really been great. Now, a lot of the branches in here that have died back are actually these ones that I tried to support. They got way too heavy and the supports really didn't hold in here. I need to rethink how I tie these tomatoes up. In fact, these tomato cages really are not right. I kind of tried a hodgepodge of different cages in here. I'm gonna completely redo the system next year. We're definitely gonna grow tomatoes here again because they're very happy. We're just gonna have to make sure to grow something else in between, something that's completely unrelated, so that we don't encounter any issues in here. The following summer, after that, I'm gonna have to make sure not to grow tomatoes in here again because of course we wanna make sure that we rotate crops. Although, companion planting actually helps make it so that you don't have to worry as much about rotating your crops. Now, it looks like I also have some holy basil seeds in here. I think a lot of them have been popping out and they're falling all over the place, but I'm gonna see if I can harvest some of these to bring into class this week as well. So if anybody is interested in some seeds this semester, I'll bring in all I've got during the first class. Hey John, no problem being late. I'm still here. I'm wearing shorts for the first time ever outside, and I'm telling you, you're gonna see me squatting down because I am covered in mosquitoes right now. Bad time to wear shorts. Oh yeah. Actually, the mosquitoes haven't been that bad this year, but then again, I don't wear shorts all that often. Now, one of the things that I'm going to be doing in a video that's going to be coming up very soon is I'm going to be trimming all of these tomatoes back. I want to trim them back to the new growth that's coming out. I want to cut off all of these really massive branches. You know, some of these branches down here actually have some new flowers coming out, and I hate to remove those, but they've gotten too big. They're just too unruly. So I'm going to be cutting this way, way, way back, and I'm going to allow the second flush to come out again. We have not had any spider mites in here. Thankfully, there's been no spider mites. Haven't seen any other insect pests. Well, except for some armyworms, but fortunately, the armyworms have not been a huge problem. Actually, interestingly enough, we have had a lot of spiders in here. In fact, there's been spiders all over the place down in here. They seem to like the jungle that we've got going on. And funny thing, I have to show you something, and this is going to be hilarious, I'm sure. We did not harvest all of the carrots. Forgot about the carrots. And actually, I started harvesting some the other day, and they're actually still quite good, but they're tiny. These carrots never bolted. They're really, really tasty. They've been in the ground for, God, 4 or 5 months, but they're really good. They haven't gotten hard. They're actually quite supple still. It's really surprising because normally carrots, you know, if you let them go too long, I mean, especially in the heat, they bolt. But these carrots, they just keep going. Now, I need to get in here and finish harvesting. Even though these are small carrots, they really need to be picked so we can put them in our stomachs. The worms are also doing pretty well. Now, of course, I haven't looked today. I'm gonna open this up and see a bunch of dead stuff. The worms have actually been quite happy in here. Let's see. I don't see any on the surface right now. Of course, it was a really hot day, so they're probably down below hanging out. Do see some other bugs on the surface here. You can see the skins. I put some cucumbers in here, and that's all that's left of the cucumbers. Those were eaten up very quickly. Still nice and moist in here, though. Actually, the cardboard you can see is still a little bit wet, so the worms are still happy in this little bin that I've got here. course, they probably don't appreciate me banging on their home like that, but let's see. Now, as I mentioned, we were taking a look at our sweet potato over here. I have another sweet potato that I planted next to a log. This one is also doing quite well, not doing as well as the one over there, but you know, it's a happy little sweet potato. This actually was getting really scorched by the midday sun. It was really getting too hot here, and the sweet potato kept dying, or not dying, but laying flat on the ground. And so actually we took another one of my dad's Plumerias here and just positioned it so that there's just a tiny little bit of shade over the sweet potato at the exact time of day that it keeps lying flat on the ground. And actually just that little bit of shade that we added has really helped that sweet potato out quite a bit. So, you know, this is a way that you can create a little mini climate. You know, shade from a potted plant can help out your vegetables during times of need. Now this pepper here, actually we only got one pepper off of it. I stopped watering it. You can see it's really dried out in here quite a bit. It is putting out some new green growth, so maybe I should start watering it again, but this pot was really too small for this pepper, I think. But I don't know. Yeah, that's really dry. Now, this sweet potato over here is also doing exceptionally well. You can see how long it is. It's not quite as impressive as the sweet potato we have over here, but it really seems to like being in the evening shade of the lemon tree here. So this is actually the lemon tree. This direction is east, out this way. So this gets plenty of morning sun, and then by the afternoon, probably by about 2 o'clock, it's shaded with dappled light by our lemon tree here. You can also see all the hollyhocks. Despite the extreme heat, they're still hanging in. They've lost a couple of leaves here and there during the really bad heat waves, but they keep pushing out new leaves. I'm very excited. I think that these hollyhocks are really going to be lovely, especially after we get the rains that are coming. Now, we also have all of the flowers and plants that were planted along the north side of the yard here. Some of these are doing great, some of them not so much. The lemongrass is too big. You know, my mom said, don't plant that there, it's going to get too big. And I said, no, it'll be fine. Always listen to your mother. I was trimming it back, but I said, you know what, if I keep cutting this back, it's going to look really tacky. So actually, I'm going to be taking out this lemongrass. I'm going to put it back over here next to the lemon tree. I think that it'll get a little bit more sunlight over here. It'll definitely have more space planted right back there. And since it's a plant that doesn't need a whole lot of water, I think it'll be quite happy over here. Now, we also have our stevia, which the stevia has really taken over. I really need to cut this back off of the pathway. The stevia has been doing great. A lot of our little flowers, the verbena in there, it's doing great. We have a lot of stuff that's died back, though. The lobelia didn't make it. It was doing pretty good for a while, but it finally kicked the bucket. Oh, actually, you know what? I take that back. It does have a little bit of green left on it. Maybe it'll come back. Now, I don't want to cut any of this out. I actually want to leave this out here, and I want to let it die down. I want to let the other flowers, as they continue to grow, I want them to grow over it. So this is going to help amend, break down into that really sandy soil that we have in here. So we need this dead plant material to build up the sandy soil. Got our little blackberry in here, and thank you very much, John Walker, for getting this to me. Now, this actually really isn't a great spot for this blackberry because it's kind of a narrow space in here. I'm actually planning on letting it grow in here for a little bit until it establishes itself. During the cool season, after it has established in here, I'm actually planning on transplanting it again. And actually I'm going to transplant it into the middle of the yard here in this space in the soil that I've been preparing. So we'll turn this little space in here into a little stand of blackberries. So I'm really excited about that. Exactly, yes. This is a lot like the cover crops. I mean, just like I'm doing with the cover crops over here, you know, I'm also allowing these flowers to die down. And in fact, when it cools down a bit as we head into fall, I'm going to get some more flowers to plant in here, some cool season flowers, and I'll just plant them right in there around the dead stuff, and I'll let the dead stuff continue to break down, and the new plants will just grow over them, and life will happen. Now, the nasturtiums did exceptionally well in here, but they finally really kicked the bucket. You can see that the nasturtiums really lay completely flat and they turn into nothing. And I mean, nasturtiums are great because they dissolve. And so this is all going to go into the soil. It's going to feed the soil. There's dozens, if not hundreds, of seed pods on each of these plants. The seed pods have already, some of them have already gone into the soil. You can see them here. Here's the seed pod of a nasturtium. I just let them reseed themselves. I also collect some of the seeds and I'll, pop them around like that. So these nasturtiums will be back in force next year. And actually, one of my favorite things about these is you can't forget nasturtiums are actually an edible green. So you can make all kinds of stuff with nasturtiums. You can eat them raw. They're a beautiful flower, but they're also quite useful. Now, the lemon verbena is looking a little bit scraggly right now. I actually cut this way back and it popped back out again. I'm actually planning on cutting it way down again. I really would like it if this was a more compact plant because it keeps wanting to pop out into the pathway. But, again, this probably wasn't the right plant for me to plant here. I just have to keep cutting it back and hopefully I'm hoping I can get it to grow towards the fence a little bit more. But, the problem is this wants to grow towards the sun. I should probably stake it up and pull it back if I want it to be closer to the fence. Might not be the right plant for this spot, but it's okay. We'll make do. Now you can see there's a couple of other little flowers here and there that are still doing quite well. Actually, some of the lobelia is hanging in here. The dianthus is actually looking quite lovely. In fact, this dianthus, it didn't grow that much, but man, it has been happy in here. Actually, same with that dianthus. That one's also really happy. So some things are still hanging in there. Some things are struggling. That's life, right? One thing I haven't shown you yet, actually I should show you right now, is our gondolas, also known as pigeon peas. Now these have not grown as big as I was expecting. Again, I planted these a little bit too late. These are, I'm guessing about 3 feet tall. So these actually produce a pea type, not a fruit, but a bean, essentially. It's a legume. It's supposed to get about 6 feet tall. I don't know if this is going to hit 6 feet, but it does look like it's getting ready to flower. So hopefully we'll get some pigeon peas in here. These are not staying. This is actually going to be treated like an annual cover crop. After these produce their fruit, we're going to chop them all down, lay it in here. And of course, this is the area where we're going to have 3 more fruit trees. So we have our 3 trees over here. We're going to have 3 on this side. And yeah, that's the plan. Now our little cover crop area in here might actually be a bit close to the 3 fruit trees. If we plant our blackberries in here, it might be a little bit tight, but I'm going to give it a go and see if it works. If it doesn't, I can always move the blackberries again or dig them up and give them away. I like to experiment and see how things. Now it looks like I've got some comments in the chat here. So let me see what we've got. So Norma says the heat is horrible. Yes, I agree. I'm not enjoying the heat very much. Alan says he needs companions. Yeah, yeah, that's for sure. Yep. All right. Now I think I've got a couple more things that I'm going to show you in the back. Hopefully, sometimes when I walk back here, my connection gets interrupted. Fortunately, I'm not overheating, and my battery is actually holding out really well, so I hopefully won't drop off here. But let's see. So right back here, of course, we've got our little hammock set up back here. Unfortunately, our little chocolate vines are struggling a little bit. This is the Akebia plant. The one on the right has dropped a lot of its leaves, and actually you probably can't see that there are stems that come out all the way out along here. All of the leaves have dropped off the one on the right, at least that's heading out that way. One on the left is doing a lot better, but it still seems to be struggling a little bit. My understanding is that this is totally normal for this plant during the heat of summer. This is my first time growing Akebia, so we'll see how it does. Hopefully as it cools back down, this should have a growth of flush come out probably sometime in the fall, and then springtime is really when this is going to explode. Hopefully this should do a good job of covering our fence here. Now, the blueberries, actually, it's funny, the larger blueberry, so I purchased one blueberry that was an older blueberry. It was in a bigger container. It was more expensive, and it has not been doing great. It's been doing okay, but it hasn't been doing great. The smaller blueberry, the younger one that was less expensive, actually has been doing better. It's put out more growth. It actually has more blueberries coming out right now. As you can see, we've got a bunch of blueberries on here. This one has been doing great. It's funny, usually you purchase the more established ones so that they do better. But in this case, it was actually the younger, less expensive one that did a better job. Now, all of our little plants we have out here are doing great. Got some more Plumerias out here. My dad actually used to have quite a collection of Plumerias. Don't have a lot left, but there's still a few. Unfortunately, our poor little passion fruit vine, as you can see, has been eaten to nothing. It's been stripped down. All of the leaves are gone, and this has happened probably 3 or 4 times now. This has been completely stripped. I don't know what's doing it. It's possible it could be a caterpillar. I mean, something keeps eating it, and I really need to protect it when it comes back out. The good news is the roots are strong. I think that this is going to do fine. Once we have another batch of growth that pops out, I'm going to wrap some wire around it and see if I can keep the critters off of it long enough for it to grow up on here. But yeah, it's been a struggle trying to get the passion fruit to grow back here. Really hoping that we can get that passion fruit vine growing on there and onto the fence. But yeah, we'll see what happens. And what you all came to see, the compost pile. I should have had a shovel so I could dig in here. Oh my goodness, what is this? That doesn't belong in the compost pile. I gotta talk to my family. I got some plastic in there. That's not okay. If you all are watching, make sure there's no plastic in the compost pile. Now the compost has actually been doing great. We've filled this thing up so many times. I tell you, we keep filling it up to about there, that second block, and it just keeps sinking back down. Really good stuff under here. I actually have a new video that's going to be dropping really soon that talks about this compost pile. You'll get a look at what's going on underneath here, so keep an eye out for that. I know everybody's so excited about compost. Funny thing about the compost pile, though, is that plants love compost. This is the only nasturtium that's left still alive in the yard, and this is one that came up in the compost pile. And it's very sad, but it is still alive. It's because it's got roots in the compost, And even though the compost only gets water on it maybe once every 2 weeks, we add water to it to make sure it doesn't dry out too much, the compost holds on to the water so well that the plants that are growing in the compost are doing fantastic. In fact, you can see there's several plants. I don't even know what these are. There's always stuff coming up in the compost pile. Yeah, there's a sticker on that banana too. I gotta go through this. It needs a little bit of love. Now, as you all know, my dad has his little goji berry here. We actually got a ton of goji berries off of the plant this year. This is the furthest it's grown out. Of course, we also have something we don't want in here. I don't know if anybody knows what this is, but oh, wait a second. Is that what I think it is? Oh, you know, I was gonna say I thought that this was a morning glory, but it's not a bean, is it? Huh. It looks more like a bean to me. Well, this is a morning glory down here, so that's a morning glory leaf. And this up here, I don't know. Huh, that looks more like a bean. Interesting. Maybe we have another volunteer bean over here. This is what happens when you don't pay enough attention in the garden. You might be wondering, Professor Brown, you've been on vacation for 2 weeks. Why aren't you paying attention to the garden? Actually, I got to tell you all my story before we end the stream today. So I've been on vacation for 2 weeks, right? Semester ended. I was very excited. And I swear this keeps happening to me. The very first day of my break, came down with a cold. I was sick for a week. I was down and out for a week. I got better just in time for my dental appointment. And I actually needed to get a deep cleaning done, which I don't know if anybody has ever had scaling done, but they actually have to scrape your roots, which meant I had 1 week of recovery after that. I had to eat like mashed potatoes and mush for a week. So I've had 2 weeks of vacation so far, and it has not been very much fun. I've actually just been recovering over here. But that's okay. I guess that's what vacation is for, right? It's for recovering. Now, I did want to share a couple of updates for the classes too. I know that for my students here, you already got the emails from me, and I think that Mount Sac reached out to you. Unfortunately, several of my classes were canceled this semester. I don't know what's going on. We actually have a big meeting coming up this Friday, and I'll see if they give any announcements. But all of my fellow professors at Mount Sac have reached out to me, at least everybody I'm in contact with, to ask me what was up, because they also lost a lot of their classes. Evidently, they shut a lot of classes down this semester. I don't know what's going on, but I know that they're being really hard on our attendance right now. And so all of you out there, if you're in a class that has lower attendance, or if you're in a class where we're kind of borderline, please make sure you show up to class, because we are in danger of them actually shutting down our classes. I know that they always threaten to shut classes down, but they're really going at it this semester. So I'll do my best to keep the classes open. Of course, I'll keep fighting for you all to make sure that you have a place to come to every week. You know me. I like getting paid, so I like having classes. No, I'm just kidding. I like that part too, actually. Two things can be true. Let's see. I think that is all that I had planned for tonight. That was all of my announcements. Do keep an eye out. I'm still working on the website, and we're going to have some updates live on the website very soon. There's a huge overhaul that I've done. Should be done by the end of this week. Since I have had my classes cut back this semester, I'm going to be spending a little bit more time working on some of my YouTube videos. I'm actually going to try to overhaul a couple of my lectures as well. Since I've got a little extra time, I figured maybe I can make some fun new activities, maybe try some new hands-on demonstrations this semester. So for those of you who are still in my classes, for classes that are still running, we're going to have a good time this semester, so make sure you don't miss too much. Now, before I get going here, starting to lose my light, let me show you how beautiful the sky is. Before I go, does anybody have any questions that they would like me anything about classes or, yeah, Sandy. So Sandy asks, when do we start classes? Next week. So next Monday is the beginning of the fall semester. Fall, right? Yeah, summer, fall. Okay. To think about that for a second. So the fall semester starts on Monday. Of course, Sandy, for you, you're in San Dimas, so Wednesday, 1 p.m. we'll be there. I think that's all the big announcements on that front. Anybody have any other questions? Thank you, Norma. If we don't have any other questions, then we are going to finish up here, but I'll give you just another minute just in case anybody thinks up anything or if anybody's typing. While you're all thinking and typing, I'm going to show you the bird bath. It's a bird bath. We need some more water in there, though. That's running a little bit low on water. I actually have some interesting lichen growing in here, too. That's another story for another day, I suppose. All right, everybody. Well, I'm not seeing any questions in the chat, so I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye. I hope you all have a wonderful final week of break. I'll see you starting next week. Please stay safe out there, stay cool, and hope you all have a wonderful week, and we'll see you real soon. Of course, Lynn, thank you very much for coming and joining. Always appreciate it when you're here. See you, Sandy. Have a wonderful evening. Take care of yourself. Take care, everybody. Have a good night. Thank you, Ellen.